SEO specialists should be on top of both marketing and developers, because, well, they do typically tend to talk to both parties. And so being familiar with INP and knowing a bit more about INP, I would even say, as an SEO specialist, especially after this session, don't be surprised if you know more about INP than developers.
I'm recording a lesson for you with Erwin Hofman, who is the PageSpeed guy and is the best person to talk about PageSpeed. And today we are going to talk about INP, the recent change that Google made with Core Vitals when it replaced FID with INP. Erwin, over to you.
I'm actually just going to dive right in. Well, maybe a little introduction might be convenient. Erwin Hofman in English, Erwin Hofman in Dutch, but might be a bit more difficult to pronounce. Nevertheless, I'm a PageSpeed performance consultant. Also started building a software as a service for PageSpeed monitoring. The newest change and hot topic, I guess, is INP. And I guess everyone that is listening or have been following your courses might know already that FID was replaced by INP. FID is still part of PageSpeed Insights interface, but it is not part of Core Web Vitals anymore as of, well, March this year. I just picked a random website. I tried to pick Amazon, but Amazon is in fact passing INP, so that's not really a fun example. Nevertheless, there are still enough websites out there and web shops that are not passing INP. And today I'm going to dive into what INP is and, well, also some ways of discovering it and become more confident when talking about INP. Because I have to admit that INP is, with the current set of Core Web Vitals, it is the most challenging one, and I also guess most technical one. So one of my goals is also to become a bit more confident with using DevTools, for example. About how to pass, well, yeah, obviously reduce initial JavaScript and rendering work, and sometimes there are CSS equivalents and maybe even pure CSS solutions already, or even native solutions. I'm still running into websites and web shops that are still using lazy load JavaScript framework, libraries, I should say, JavaScript libraries to lazy load images and iframes, while it is already supported natively by browsers themselves. Even Safari is on board already with the loading is lazy attribute. So for non-visible, at least none in the initial viewport, non-visible images and iframes, you can already safely use the native loading is lazy attribute. And there are some other examples where you don't always need JavaScript anymore. And, well, you basically discussed the marketing decisions just now. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. So I have two last questions. First of all, what things, so like obviously INP and Core Vitals are very technical things, and most of the things that will need to be done is going to be done by developers. But are there any specific things that you think that might be done, technical SEOs or SEOs themselves, to offload some of the tasks from developers' plate?
Okay, so the question is, what can SEO specialists do?
Yeah.
And I do think that it's quite tricky, because in the end, and that might be, well, not be unexpected, yeah, most of them really should come from, yeah, obviously, if you are, as an SEO specialist, if you are involved with third parties as well. Some organizations might have a whole other marketing team for the third parties. In some cases, SEO specialists are involved as well over there. But nevertheless, maybe SEO specialists should be on top of both marketing and developers, because, well, they do typically tend to talk to both parties and other parties as well. So, yeah, being familiar with INP and knowing a bit more about INP, I would even say, as an SEO specialist, especially after this session, don't be surprised if you know more about INP than developers or marketing people, for example. Because although INP is a technical metric, and you might then expect developers to be aware of this already, it's often not the case. Because, well, first of all, it is a fairly new metric. And secondly, a lot of developers don't even have or get the time to dive into Core Web Vitals and familiarize themselves with Core Web Vitals. So it might feel like you are a fraud, or there is no other better English word, but imposter syndrome. However, do realize that there is a chance that developers out there that you're working with haven't heard of INP and are still in the phase that they're blaming hosting, for example, and third parties. Okay, in this case, specifically in the case of INP, that could in fact be true. But yeah, it is important to talk with them. And after the session, I hope you are then also more confident to talk with them and, well, point them in the right tools or the right documentation. And in this slide, I'm showing how to really fix INP. But it's basically already showing that INP is a technical metric and also involves technical work to fix it. In some cases, I know that the Google CMP team is in fact working together with CMPs to improve their INP already, and they already booked some success. I think a use case study was actually published today or a few days ago, I'm not sure. So yeah, Google is making efforts as well. But Google is not able to fix the INP on our sites coming from us or all those third parties out there. But just to name a few ways to fix it, content visibility is a CSS property that I'm using as well for mega menus, very large navigations, or for example, very long product listing pages or very elaborate footer. Well, a big footer with a lot of links. Because my site does not involve a lot of CSS, but if you've got a e-commerce site or other very big corporate site, well, nevertheless, a lot of content that needs to be rendered, then that is taking some time as well. And that is blocking the main thread as well. Well, how can you reduce that without removing your DOM nodes or limit the amount of DOM nodes, which is a typical, I might see it over here as well, but reduce the amount of DOM nodes is a typical recommendation that you get to see in Lighthouse. So I'm not sure if I'm able to see it over here. Avoid excessive DOM size. And Lighthouse wants you to limit the amount to a max of 1500. Well, that's undoable, especially as SEO specialist. You are not in a position to reduce the amount of DOM nodes on a website. And if you try to communicate this with a developer, you are not going to make friends with a developer because sometimes their hands are tied as well. And it depends on the platform or theme or whatever. And that's where content visibility comes in. You can just add content visibility to a parent element like the hamburger menu or the footer, and you could set it to auto for the footer. And then the browser, at least Chromium browsers, Edge, Opera, and Google Chrome, will skip rendering work and will delay it until the moment that the footer becomes part of the viewport. So whenever you can skip 100 milliseconds of rendering work, the browser can move on and spend that 100 milliseconds on some other work, all to end up in a situation where most rendering and JavaScript work was already done for the moment a user is about to interact with the web page. Okay, so different ways to go to DevTools. I always do inspect, and then DevTools is opening up, and then I go to performance panel. And you can basically start a trace, as they call it, performance trace, by either reloading the page and it will then instantly start a trace as well, or start recording from here so that any interactions that are happening as of this moment is only being recorded. We could do that. So let's hit record, and then I'm going to interact with the hamburger menu. Well, the hamburger menu is very fast, so maybe there is a better. No, let's just stick with the hamburger menu. Okay.
Maybe the question mark. The question mark. Maybe it would be.
Yeah, let's do that as well. Let's do another one. Okay, so record, question mark, and okay. So we've got two traces. One involves just the hamburger menu. And well, as expected, it's not a lot of work that is happening, although I can see some frames happening over here, which is actually the presentation time, or at least where some frames were spent animating. We can clearly see by these thumbnails that the navigation was sliding in. Nevertheless, some JavaScript work was done up front already. And I should add that I think the DevTools team is working on this as well, but there is some profiling overhead, which is just purely based on starting my performance trace. So I should basically start here. And well, we can see that the time spent over here was not too long. as expected, because it should be a simple interaction, and it should be a simple task to add a class to the navigation, and then the navigation should start to animate, which is what we can see over here. Recalculate, layout style, etc. So maybe we can find the exact, this is my click handler. So this would now be part of the processing time phase, because I clicked and something is happening right away. It was not offloaded using scheduler yield, it got priority straight away. In this case, this JavaScript should get priority because something needs to change in the screen based on my interaction, based on my event listener. Well, their event listener hooking into my interaction, which is what was happening over here. Well, quite often there is a lot of code going on over here. It's quite convenient, by the way, that I can just click over here on the function and it will jump to the right, correct line in the source code. But it's often obfuscated, and I'm then not really able to read anything, maybe recognize some things going on, but otherwise it's quite difficult to really tell what's happening here. So I'm often not going that far. So get element details, get element query selector all. So apparently it is trying, this is a native JavaScript function. It's clearly trying to collect multiple elements. I'm not sure why you would do that when you would only want to show the navigation. So that's a bit weird. But nevertheless, this is not an issue because it isn't worthwhile to look into this because it's only spending 9 milliseconds anyway. So why I'm going to debug this? That does not really make sense. I say 9 milliseconds, but it's only 3. So I'm going to skip this one. Let's maybe move to the other one. And let's see if some more work was happening over here. Again, some profiling overhead. So that's a shame. And then this one was taking almost 20 milliseconds. And this one seems to be, well, I wanted to say third-party related because the script file name contains the keyword vendor. So it might be third-party, but I'm not sure. So oftentimes when diving into DevTools, it's a lot of, well, not guessing maybe, but it's sometimes difficult to really tell what is going on. But if there is a long task, then, well, then you would want to dive into that. But maybe that's where a developer should take over.
Yes, that makes sense. But at least you can send a screenshot and you can say, oh, I noticed this, there is a long task, blah, blah. You can take from there, but at least you're showing something specific versus just saying, oh, we are not passing INP, which is like, what does it even mean if someone doesn't know what this is? We'll say thank you for giving this lecture. It's not like it's a workshop lecture. It's the best practical knowledge that you can get. Honestly, it's like practical. Tech SEO Pro is all about practicality. And as Erwin said, my Tech SEO Pros, you now know more about INP, about Corporate Vitals than most developers. So ultimately, as it usually happens, it's on you to debug it and then make sure that you're communicating it in a very compassionate and friendly way to developers so that you team up to improve these things. If it's important right now, according to prioritization, because we also talk a lot about prioritization. If you don't have any huge issues with INP, well, maybe other issues are more important on the website. So we are not just saying that INP is the best next thing that you need to implement right now, but it's really good to know what's going on, and it's really good to know if you need to improve it.